Hi everyone, Todd Rundgren here. You know, not too long ago I swore I would never do another tribute tour, but then the opportunity to revisit the catalog of Burt Bacharach came up and I couldn't resist, especially considering what a huge influence he's had on me and my own songwriting. So I hope you all come out and join us for a lovely evening of music, because what the world needs now is a little more Burt.
There you go. Leave it up to Todd to come up with something new.
A little more Burt. I think that sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, that's going to be the new thing. All right, everybody, welcome to another edition of Rundgren Radio Virtual Vision. Tonight we have special guest Probyn Gregory. Made a little change. We had him scheduled for the 10th, but this is better. We're going to take care of that tonight. So I hope you are looking forward to it. We want to thank Woody Mankowski for being on last week. And we believe we're going to have Tori Holub on Friday, hopefully. She is the Karen Carpenter, almost perfectly, maybe perfectly Karen Carpenter imitation.
Reincarnated or something.
Reincarnated. I mean, I don't know what to say. It's unbelievable. She's got a new video out today, by the way, if you haven't seen it, doing what the world needs now. So
I've had it stuck in my head since yesterday.
Oh, yeah. I know. We're gonna hear it a lot. All right. So just real quick, and then we're going to bring Probyn in. We're going to get started early today for you. The Akron party, we're going to do it at Jilly's Music Room. Check it out if you're coming to the Akron party to see Freak Parade. That is going to be a great venue for us, right across the street from the hotel. So no having to get a cab, bus, nothing. You just walk and you're right there.
March 31st.
March 31st. Cruiser Mail. What's the tour Chasm's doing? Prairie? Gil?
It's called All You Need Is Love. And it's a Beatles tribute, I guess. So yeah, they're really racking up a bunch of shows, and all the videos coming out of that tour are looking really good.
Yeah. What the world needs now is love. Love is the answer. All you need is love.
So much love, so much need.
Love. Let's see how they do that. Okay. All right. One more thing. The Fix have announced a tour, and the reason that is applicable, besides the fact they opened for Todd some with us when we did the Todd Healing tour, is Jill Sobel's opening for them. So I know y'all love Jill. Todd produced one of her albums. She's been at one of our events. No, two of our events. So check that out if you're interested in those. One of them's Kent Stage over there in Ohio, which we've all been to before. So that is a wrap on announcements, I believe, Cruiser Mail. Unless you got something, let's make sure that everybody knows where to go for more information about this tour, the What the World Needs Now tour. It is going to be fun. It's going to be awesome, as you heard from Todd earlier. And there it is. Check it out.
Yeah.
All right. Now, here's the thing, Chris Mel, before I bring Probyn on. Looking at some of the posters and whatnot, I couldn't figure out where I saw it. But I did see one with Probyn on there, and it said something like flute, horn, all these kind of things. And I'm thinking, wait a second. Last time we had him, he played bass, as you can see in your photo over there. So apparently he's multi-instrumentalist, which most of you probably already know. But it's going to be interesting. I talked to Scroat a little bit about it too, and they're going to be mixing up. I mean, Probyn may play bass. He may play this. He may play that. He may not know what I'm talking about yet. But we're going to find out if he does.
That would be fun. That would be really exciting. Watch everybody, rotate.
Yeah. Rotate singing, So a lot of that.
Bass. That's the first time I'm hearing about bass, but I'm happy to do it.
Yeah. You never know. I mean, Chasm's going to be doing it, but he may have to take a break and sing or do something else, play guitar. Who knows? Sure. But they kind of hired you, I guess, as a fill in the gap in a lot of places.
I'm sort of a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good way of looking at it.
As I like to say, jack of all trades, master of none.
None. Yeah.
Oh, that's not true.
I don't think that's true either. I mean, let's say you play 8 instruments, maybe?
Well, I made money with 39.
Okay, I'm way off.
What was your first
blades
instrument?
Of grass. I don't have a blade of grass here, but if I did, I could do you somewhere over the rainbow, just like that.
Now, some of that for live performances or things like that, Valentine's you did or something else, commercials maybe?
Oh, yeah, like playing on people's records. Like one time I got asked to play on a record. They knew I played the musical Saw a little bit, although it's very hard. You have to you put it down between your knees and then you hold it up in the air and put your thumb and make it into an S curve. And you're using a cello bow that has to have really like ballet rosin, really sticky rosin on it in order to make the woo. Sounds a little bit like a theremin.
Yeah.
I think I saw that on like the Three Stooges or something once.
I bet.
Or Hee-Haw. It was something way back in my memory. Oh, okay.
I assume you know a lot about Burt Bacharach. Have you listened to some of the stuff and gone, okay, this one's going to require something I'm not used to or something I haven't done yet?
Well, the thing is, the band hasn't all met yet. So we haven't gotten all of our instrument assignments yet, but I'm ready to take on whatever I can. There is a song or two that needs harmonica, and I don't really play harmonica, but I'm going to play the melodica, which looks like it's like a little keyboard that you blow into. It sounds like sort of like an accordion, between an accordion and a harmonica. So I have one of those. When I used to play in the Eels, I stuck a couple of microphones in there.
What's it called again?
Called melodica. It's not in the room with me right now, or I'd pull it out and show it to you. It's like a short couple of octaves keyboard, and has a tube that you blow into. And the way I like to do it is that I hold it in front of me so I can see the keys, because there is a way. My grandmother used to do it. I have her old melodica. There is a way to do it where it just goes straight out from your mouth. You can't really see what the keys are doing because your eyes are only a little bit away from where your mouth is in terms of the angle. Anyway, I'm getting technical.
That's all right. Looks like you're definitely playing some kind of horns up here behind me in the poster. So
yeah, for a Bacharach gig, you've got to have a trumpet and a flugelhorn, because on so many of those Dionne Warwick tunes, there was that combination of, or I should say, it was like a sort of a featured instrument. I guess Burt must have liked it. I've read his biography, but I can't remember if he has a special relationship. Like maybe Burt played trumpet. I don't know.
Probably. No telling. Well, let's
the Herb Alpert connection there. Yeah.
Right.
Huh.
That's true too.
What was your first instrument that you first started learning?
That was probably trumpet, although I sort of fiddled around. That was when I was age 10. I was living in Palo Alto, California, and as opposed to New Hampshire, where my dad got a professor job in New Hampshire, we moved the next year to New Hampshire, where they were just starting out with these little plastic instruments like a recorder. They call it a flutophone. And I already had a trumpet from the 4th grade when Palo Alto was sort of the head of the curve. They were actually teaching Japanese lessons to elementary school students in my school. I didn't pick up any Japanese. Anyway, trumpet. The answer is trumpet was my first instrument. And then I had to sort of let it sit for a while until in middle school, it sort of came back. Then I played in the concert band. And at some point they said, hey, we really need a French horn player. We got an instrument. Which of you wants to, if you play French horn, you can be first chair. And I said, okay, I'll do it.
That is really cool.
The volunteer. All right. So
volunteer.
You had mentioned something about the Todd poster. Let's get straight to that.
Oh, sure. Well, my first brush with Todd was not even Nazz. I was a little too young, but We Got to Get You a Woman was on the radio. So I bought the single, and it took me a while to get the album. So the following thing happened. In 1972, I was downtown in my little town of Keene, New Hampshire. And there was this thing called a head shop where they would sell, paraphernalia if you were into smoking dope or whatever, but they also sold records. And they had bought a radio station in Maine was going out of business and sold its whole records to this head shop in Keene, New Hampshire. So everything was going for 50 cents an album, $1 for a double album. So I'm there looking through. What do I see? The Ballad of Todd Rundgren. He's in a noose. Looks interesting. I'm going to get that one. And then there was Something Anything for $1. So I paid $1.50. Wow. Changed my life. That record did not leave, Something Anything in particular, did not leave my turntable for like 6 months. I was obsessed with that record. So I got I got AWATS, of course, as soon as it came out. That was my first, new Todd record. And it had that, as you know, that postcard on the inside. It said, send it in and maybe we'll do something with those names. Well, they did something with those names.
Oh, show and tell.
Show and
So
tell.
here is the poster. That's the side where it has the picture. But on this side, these pixels are all made up of names of people who sent in their name on the postcard. And I'm down in the quadrant here. They go all the way to Z, and then they started again with A, and they had a little down in this quadrant. So my name is somewhere around here. It's a little hard to see because this is an old poster. This is from 1974. But check this out. So my name's Probyn Gregory, kind of unusual, right? This Welsh name. My brother's name is Rohan Gregory. He's the other musician in the family. He teaches violin. He's an amazing player, way better than I am. So we just happened to be looking at the thing one day, and we saw that it said Brian Rohan, and the next name was Gregory B. Rolfson. And so because the Rohan and the Gregory were adjacent, it looked like it said Rohan Gregory. And we're like, did you send in a postcard? No, you had the only postcard, Probyn.
Wow, that's crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah, especially with that name, Rohan. I mean,
Right.
That's pretty low odds of that happening. That's cool. Made the poster.
Yeah,
It's
made the
probably pretty
poster.
hard to find your name.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've probably been on a lot of posters, I guess, a lot of gig posters. I mean, you've toured with a ton of people.
Well, my own name rarely makes it. There's a thing called Wild Honey. It's it used to be just a sort of a general musicians charity, and now it's sort of fine-tuned to become more of an autism research charity. And I used to be the head of the brass section, or the winds. I would write out all the parts for clarinets and saxes and trumpets and whatnot. And it got to be a lot of work, especially when the singers would change their key at the last minute. I had to write everything by hand in the new key all over again. So now other people in charge. I'm just a performer at these things. But sometimes I get thrown a song. At the Beach Boys one, I got to sing Good Vibrations.
Nice.
For the big finale and play the Tannerine, which is like a theremin emulator. And then I got a lead on at the Kinks one. I did Autumn Almanac. Anyway, all this to say that those are the only times you probably ever see my name, because I'm more of a team player. Most likely you'll see my name under something like when I toured with the Monkees. My name was never there. That's okay. At least I got to play with the Monkees, so I'm happy.
Yeah. Well, your name's on the poster for this tour and your picture.
Oh, that's nice. That's sweet. They didn't have to do that.
Yeah, of course. And we were thrilled to have you for that Nazz party we did.
Oh, that was so much fun. And Stewkey and Thom, they did their homework. They came in and they hit it out of the park. That was great.
It's a good time.
Really was.
So do the Beach Boy fans treat you? I mean, they got to know who you are, right? They probably treat you like a rock star,
I'm fairly well known in the Beach Boy fan community because I played with Brian for 24 years, and I was in the Beach Boys 1 year. I should say a touring Beach Boy in the 50th reunion in 2012. I even have some guitar picks that have the Beach Boys on the front and my name on the back, which is
kind of
fun.
Awesome.
I mean, would fans get pictures with you and stuff? I mean, are they that kind of group? You know, they're like, okay, he's part of this band, he's part of us.
Sure, yeah, especially over in the UK. I mean, nothing against the US fans; they're great, but the UK fans, they made Pet Sounds go gold before the US did, and they're kind of a different breed of character. I like the UK. I wouldn't mind living there. It's kind of expensive though, and I got a wife and a kid and a mortgage right now. So,
and a concerts you got to do, but
and concerts to pay for all this stuff.
I mean, obviously,
I'm really looking forward to this Bacharach thing, especially because I've met Todd a couple of times, but I've never shared a stage with him. Same thing with Chasm. I've met Chasm a couple of times, but also never played with him. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Do you know any of these other players? Any of these ladies in particular? Have you ever worked with them?
No, I haven't. I know the musical director, Rob Shirakbari. He was someone that we had mutual friends, and he was coming to St. Brian Wilson shows, And I knew he was Burt Bacharach's and Dionne Warwick's director. So I said, I know you have a guy. I know you've got your trumpet and flugelhorn guy covered, but I love these songs. If there's ever a time that you could see a use for me, please give me a call. And you know what? He remembered and he did give me the call, and I was very happy to get it.
See, once again, you said, I'll do it, and they let you do it.
Have you met Scroat? Do you know Scroat?
Oh, yes. I also know Scroat. We played a couple of, before the Bowie tribute. There was a Kinks one. I played with him. Oh, geez, must have been 15 years ago or something. But I run into Scroat now and again. Yeah, he's a mover and a shaker.
Yeah, he's been doing a lot. You know, this is a new one for him though.
Yep.
It's different in a lot of ways. The last one that we were involved in with him was the Bowie show. You know, everybody in this kind of that listens to Todd, they know Bowie, they like Bowie, they grew up Bowie. You know, Bacharach's kind of hard to peg because most people other people did his songs, so it's just a little bit different.
Right.
And it's hard to sit there and go, okay, what is exactly are Todd and Chasm, for example, going to sing? You know, if anything. So
unfortunately, I'm not allowed to tell you. I mean, I know some of the songs they're going to sing.
Yeah,
don't. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. Yeah. I didn't know you were that far ahead of the game. Okay, good. Yeah, that's.
So we haven't actually met yet, and we don't even have the vocal parts sorted out. I'm one of the few people that's not singing leads, even though I guess I could on one of my old bands, the Wondermints. One of my few lead vocals on any of their albums was a Bacharach cover of a song called "Don't Go Breaking My Heart," which is not the Elton John tune that you know, but another one that Bacharach wrote. And it's okay, but it's like this sort of light falsetto. And anyway, I'm happy again to be a team player. I'm just going to be doing background vocals and brass and guitar and whatever else they want me to do.
That's going to be a really fun tour. It's kind of, you know, a lot of these people, when we looked at it, we're like, okay, I don't think I know any of these people or some of them, but then we start looking them up and it's pretty amazing some of the things that they do and have done. So this is going to be a great way for them to be introduced to a lot of people, including Todd fans.
Yeah, it should be very interesting. And Bacharach has such a deep catalog. I mean, it's a little bit like when I playing with Brian Wilson. I was in that band for 23 or 4 years. We didn't even necessarily even ever play all the hits. It took us a long time to get to the. You know, as when we first started out with the Brian Band, we wanted to differentiate ourselves from Mike Love's Beach Boys. So we would do this sort of boutique, Baroque pop stuff that would need a bass harmonica and that necessitated a big ensemble. And then we'd leave the 409s and the Catch a Wave and the early surf stuff to the Mike's band. That was what they shown while they were doing. And we did a little better with the harder, more intricate material because Mike's Beach Boys is a much smaller band. I think we would have 9 or 10 guys and they'd have like 5 in their band.
Yep.
Anyway, I'm on a tangent. I know you have questions, so
no, you don't. Y'all did some album shows though, right? I mean, Brian, y'all did some of that at some point.
Sure. We did all of Pet Sounds pretty early on, about year 2000 or so, and we even did that kind of late in the game in the 2020s. We were still doing all the Pet Sounds, and then we were around when Brian and Van Dyke finished up the Smile album in 2004. So we toured on that for about a year and a half or two. And that's some great music on there. Boy, eye-opening, where you hear something and you go, what is that? Well, that's an A minor chord or a C chord with a B in the bass. And you're like, that's beyond J.S. Bach. That's crazy. B in the bass on a C chord, B up on top on a C chord. Yeah, you got your C major 7. That's great. But in the bass, it's this sort of unsettling, like it's something got under your skin and it's trying to.
But y'all figured out how to do it live, I guess.
We did.
Yeah.
Whatever we did. I was banging pieces of sheet metal, playing French horn. Whatever needed to be done.
All right. Well, I got a question from the chat room. Kathleen Forsyth over in Martha's Vineyard. She wants to know how it was working with Carol Kay.
Yes. Well, Carol Kay has played on a couple of, she's guested on a couple of Brian Wilson shows. And of course, she remembers a lot of the old bass lines because she played them, most of them. She played in a lot of Beach Boys songs. She also did bass on the band I was in before, the Brian Wilson band, called Wondermints. She came and did a bass track on one of our songs. And you know what's funny about Carol? She is a better guitar player than she is a bass player.
That's not what she's known for. That's
right. She's not known for that. But if you see her at the NAMM show as a guest, which I have done, she'll sit there and she'll be just doing these jazzy, all these incredible 13 with the flat 5 chords and just going from here to there. And then she solos. I mean, she's a good bass player, but she's a great guitar player.
That question came from a bass player, by the way. So she probably did not know that information.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So anyway, she's an interesting character. She's also sort of complicated in her older age. I won't even go there because it's a little bit more difficult to talk to her. She gets easily upset by things, and I'll leave it at that.
Okay. You know,
don't we all?
touring with somebody for 24 years. I mean, and hearing that over and over again, I mean, can you still listen to that at home, studio versions or anything? Or is it like, I'm done with this music?
Are you talking about a particular song?
No, just whatever y'all played all the time, you know. Did it ever
know, it's funny. I've done tours with other bands, and sometimes I've gotten, I won't say sick of the music, but it's gotten old fast. Mm-hmm. But the Beach Boys stuff seems timeless. I mean, I must have played California Girls or Good Vibrations literally hundreds, if not 1,000 times over my lifetime. Mm-hmm. And you know what? I still like them. They're still like good songs.
Good. Yeah. Was there any song that the fans really wanted Brian to do that y'all never got to do or he refused to do?
Well, in the early days of the band, Brian, we couldn't even say the words Heroes and Villains or Surf's Up, some of these stuff from the Smile album, because it reminded him of a very bad time in his life, and he didn't want to be reminded of that. So for many years, we didn't do those songs. And then finally, somehow the ice was broken and those were done. We tried and gave up on Warmth of the Sun, which is a great song. But, you know, those background vocals, you have to hold your breath for like 4 bars. It's hard to get a breath in. And also our blend as the Brian Wilson band, we never could quite get it together. So since it didn't achieve our hopefully high standards, we just let it go.
Yeah.
But some other songs, well, I mean, most of the songs that people want to hear, we've done, like Breakaway, Time to Get Alone. I'm thinking of things that were like B-sides or didn't really make it that big on the charts, but the real deep fans like them. I mean, it's like a Todd person saying, "Hey, what happened to Sydney's Lunchbox?"
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure. I remember that song.
Yeah. Hey, you might have played it in Cincinnati. Have you heard Todd did Good Vibrations on the album?
I'm sorry. What's that?
Did you hear Todd's Good Vibrations he did on the Faithful?
Oh, of course, on Faithful. Yeah. I loved it. That was the closest version I've ever heard anyone do. Fantastic.
Now, you said you had a child. Did you say you had a son?
I do.
Yeah. Musical?
His school got burnt down in these LA fires. So he's in a temporary classroom a couple of towns over right now.
His school was, you said?
Yeah.
And he's how old?
I'm sorry?
How old did you say he was?
He's 13. He's in 8th grade.
8th grader. Their school just burned down. That's terrible.
How's your neighborhood though?
Well, so my son goes to a school a couple of towns down the way from me. I'm in a town called Tahunga. It's up in the foothills, and we were lucky enough that we managed to escape any of the flames getting anywhere near us. But in Altadena, where Finn's school is, a whole bunch of places burnt. And we know many people who lost everything on that terrible night of January the 7th. Oh boy.
Wow.
Yep.
Well, luckily y'all are okay, at least.
Yes.
The big concert tomorrow night, for raising money for it. the Fire 8.
Right. I'll probably go down to that. I didn't manage to get recruited into it. A lot of times I'm happy to just be a civilian and let other people do the rehearsals and do the show. We're all on the same page anyway. We want we want to make some money for a good cause. And it doesn't matter to me if I'm singing lead or in the back behind the drums doing something sort of silently. That's good too. I wanted to say something. This is harking back to something before you were asking about tunes.
Mm-hmm.
The Bacharach catalog is so big that, for instance, two tunes that I really like. One is called "Here Where There Is Love," which is the title track of a Dion album from like '66, I think.
Okay.
And another one called "Checkout Time," which is very late in her career, maybe 1970, 69. Maybe it was even 72. Whatever it is, these are great songs. And again, I can't say whether or not they're in our set. But
so you're gonna get yourself in trouble. But since you rotated back to music, I did have some questions in the chat room I missed before I got into the conversation about your kid. Somebody want to know if you ever played Sail on Sailor with Brian, or Four Freshmen, I think was another question maybe.
Sure. Sail on Sailor is sort of a regular. I also sometimes play in Beach Boys tribute bands. We'll play like senior centers and things like that. And because of the rhythm of it, it's very different from all the other Beach Boys hits. Count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2. There's sort of this 6/8, 12/8 sort of a beat. It's unusual for a Beach Boys hit. And I've been lucky enough to play in the band when the singer on that single, Blondie Chaplin, has been in the Brian band for a couple of years. Well, now Brian's retired. He has dementia, and so he's officially over. So that's it for Brian. But that was a nice run that we had. But as for the Four Freshmen, well, I mean, because the Beach Boys covered Their Hearts Were Full of Spring, which I'm pretty sure the Freshmen originated, I have sung that. And I've met, oh gosh, what's the last remaining guy's name now? There's only one, and he may have even passed in the last couple of years, and I haven't paid attention. But I've never really performed with them, but I've done some of their music because the Beach Boys covered it, and then we covered the, early Beach Boys cover.
Okay. Yeah, something they mentioned it. That was a Brian influence. So somebody was curious about that. Okay, so switching back to this Fire Aid thing. I've always been curious, and I don't think there's anything wrong if they do, but let's say Dave Matthews is bringing his whole band into play, for example. I mean, is it completely volunteer, or do they have expenses covered, anything, or is just everybody's coming in and they're getting nothing and they're going to play their hearts out?
Usually the way it works is that that it's because it's a charity event, the audience is getting dinged regularly. Like there's very few comps, and actually most, everyone wants to pitch in and pay whatever the ticket price is. At a charity show, a lot of times the ticket price is a little bit higher because they have some overhead. They've got to rent the hall. Sometimes there's insurance on that hall.
Absolutely.
And then you have your star artists who may or may not neither need a hotel or a flight or something covered, so that even though they may not be getting a wage and no one's getting paid, still there's an expense, and that's got to be covered, or it's coming out of the money that would be going to the deserving cause, and no one wants that. So, where I should say that they've arranged it such that the money coming in will cover these occasional extra expenses.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's and I think that's obviously, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong. I think that's perfectly acceptable. I was just always wondering about that. I know they don't get a fee for it, which is really where the bigger expense would be. If all these bands were being paid what they're normally paid, there would be no money left over to help out with the fire. So it is a great sacrifice that they're making, and a huge deal. And hopefully it'll be as successful, as some of the previous Live Aid type situations.
Is this the one? Are you talking about the one I think that Green Day is involved in?
Yes.
And
there's a couple of them. Is this the one at the Canyon Club in Los Angeles, or is this a different location?
I thought it was like the Hollywood Bowl or something.
Oh, wow.
There's a big one tomorrow that's going to be on Sirius XM, and there may be a couple different places where they're doing it, but I know Green Day, Dave Matthews Band, there was a lot of people that are involved in it. It's going to be a pretty big deal. And it's on John Mayer's channel 14 on Sirius XM, I believe. but I'm glad we're not competing with that tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Have you done some big charity events before?
Yeah, I've done some. I mean, when I can say I've met some famous people and even shared a stage with them, like Elton John, Paul McCartney. Most of these are because, at least when Paul McCartney and his former wife, he was doing landmine charities because was it Heather? Was that the one? She had her leg, blown off by a mine. So
Yeah.
they did a lot of. I don't mean to be too gross, but anyway, yeah, I mean, I've done some Carl Wilson cancer research. I've done the Bridge School concert with Neil Young a couple times up there in the Bay Area. I did a Sting Rainforest benefit at Carnegie Hall with Brian. I'm trying to remember them all. There was a tsunami in the 2004, 2005 tsunami there.
Wow. I remember that.
We
Yeah.
even lost one of our cello player in the Brian Wilson band got killed in
Wow.
Phuket, Thailand by that thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was personal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I've never played Live Aid. I played Live 8,
Mhm.
the number 8 over in Europe. I can't remember who was on the bill there, but some pretty big names. And it's always fun, you run into people like Paul Weller of the Jam, or the Oasis people,
Yeah.
Ray Davies. I've met a lot of people just through these charity things, and nothing really turned out to, no one necessarily hired me down the line, but I can say I had my picture with, I should have brought some of them. Just last night, I came across a picture of me and Alice Cooper.
Oh, yeah.
He had just come off the golf course. He's an avid golfer.
Oh, yeah. 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 He snuck in. He did a concert here and played at a course near my house. And somebody in the pro got a picture with him, It was kind of
Nice.
neat. He's supposed to be really good.
Yeah, I think he is.
You mentioned Carnegie Hall. Is that? I've never been, but it gets a lot of raves. People love it. Is that one of the best venues you played in, or is it just
Well,
another
it's
one?
funny. There are some places that were designed for acoustic classical instruments and that don't do too well with amplifiers. The first one that springs to mind is Symphony Hall in Boston. When we got in there the first time with the Brian Wilson Band, they said, okay, you guys have to turn your amps to like 1 or 2 maximum. So we did that. It was still too loud. So they lifted up the amplifiers and put like blankets under them and or aimed them off to the side. And we finally met their exacting standards. Carnegie Hall is a little bit like that. I mean, you can get away. I think they've redesigned some of the inside of it. And there's other places like the Sydney Opera House that I played that are designed. They have these huge balls on chains that come up and down from the ceiling, and they either reflect or don't reflect, and they sort of jiggle them around until they've, have it ready for a rock show, or if it's going to be a string quartet or orchestra with piano concerto or something. It all is organized differently in those ways. But Carnegie Hall sounds good, and of course it has all that history. I mean, I can't even remember when it was made, but
Yeah.
That's one of the most famous venues I think I've ever played.
Have you played Red Rocks?
Oh yeah, I love Red Rocks. When you're on stage and you look out at where the people are seated, the way that the sedimentary rocks, they're on this angle, and it looks like you're in a spaceship, and then you're about to get, like it's some kind of Star Trek thing. You're going to get shot out into space past all the people in the audience. It's really fantastic. And the dressing rooms are built into niches in the sandstone walls.
We need to go there sometime. We need to take Todd out there. How about that?
Oh yeah, I'm sure Todd's played Red Rocks at least once.
I don't know if he has. I don't
Sure.
think so.
Utopia probably did. I bet he's played it.
Maybe with
Somebody's going to tell us in the chat room. I'm sure that was there.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, they all were there.
Somebody's going to tell us, without a doubt.
Right.
Have you ever been hurt on stage? Made me think of that because
Hurt? With a T as opposed to HEARD.
Like hurt, yeah. Like we know somebody's broken their ankle on stage. People falling on stage. Does that ever happen to you?
Wow, I got to knock on wood when I even think about this. Because so many people, like, Anne Margaret fell off a stage, and that really hurt her. And I know some musician that again fell off the side of the stage and got hurt. I've been on a riser and tripped, and I think I didn't break the neck off a guitar, but I've done nothing to get really hurt on stage. Again, knock on wood.
Yeah. You're not doing David Lee Roth jumps or anything,
Oh no.
running
I
around.
used to be a little more active than I am. I mean, I'm a little bit older now, so I'm less active. Plus, if I'm in back of Brian Wilson, no one, he just sort of sits there and plays piano or doesn't. He doesn't move around too much. So the last thing we want is someone like me hogging the limelight and like.
For the wannabe rock stars out there, what kind of travel did you do with him? Did y'all have fancy buses, or did you fly on private jets? I mean, what kind of stuff did you do to get from place to place? Was it fancy or just good old normal travel?
It's good old normal travel. I mean, every once in a while we'll get a corporate job and they have enough money. Like this happened in Edmonton, Alberta, and another time in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, where they just said, here, go to such and such little airport. We're going to have a private jet. It's like, all right. So we get on board, and there's like one pilot, one steward, and it's a little bit cramped. I mean, it's a small airplane. It's going fast. You're up above the clouds at 50,000 feet doing whatever speeds they do. And I like those. Although, I got to say, I have a thing for the tour bus. I'd rather get on the tour bus than go into a commercial aviation airport and wait around, or maybe have the flight be canceled, or whatever things go on in airports. When the tour bus, you've got a bed and a curtain. It's there 24/7. If you're tired at 2 p.m, boom, you go in your bunk and no one's allowed to disturb you unless it's the manager saying, okay, we're here.
And you get to walk around if you want without, anybody caring.
Right.
Stand
Sure.
up all you
There's a
want.
lounge in the front. Sometimes there's a lounge in the back.
Yeah. It's nice.
Yeah, the tour bus is okay as long as there's Wi-Fi these days. That was in the early days. Well, early for me. I first started with Brian Wilson in 1999, and we were just in like Sprinter vans. The very first tour, a couple of shows we did was I guess it was in February. Anyway, it was mighty cold, and we were in the Midwest, and it was like an old rattle trap school bus the door didn't really close properly, so we all had blankets around our legs to try to keep from freezing.
All right, we got a chat room question from somebody named Macaroni, I believe is what it is. Maybe.
Okay.
Said hello. Want to know, when was the last Brian Wilson concert, and did you know it was the last? And to say hi to Darian.
I will say hi to Darian. It was July. Oh boy, I got it. It's either the 22nd or the 26th, but the year was 2022. And at that point, Brian was already showing real signs of fatigue, and he would sing about 3 or 4 words, and he'd stop and start, and he'd sing some of the lines in different octaves because he didn't think he could get up there. So God only knows what I'd be. It's like, it was a little weird. We were on a bill with Chicago, the band Chicago, and I think we were supposed to go to Europe, but we didn't end up. We ended up just calling it at the end of July in 2022, and that's been it. We did one song since then. We did a recording with Brian of a Glenn Campbell after he passed. There's an Alzheimer's tribute, and we did this song called "Strong," which we recorded at the Wondermints studio, and Brian came in and did the vocal. But we haven't really heard much of him since then. A couple of us have gone up to his house and with acoustic guitars like once a month or so and tried to get him to sing along with us, which he doesn't do very well at, but at least he still is willing to come out and be part of music. He may not to be able to perform anymore, but he still likes music.
Some of the best therapy out there.
Yeah, sure is.
Yeah, very nice. You're going to get to play with Todd, so that'll be a first. Is anybody else that you think about, I really want to get on stage with this person at some point?
Oh, I don't know. That's tough. I mean, Todd's one. So my first real musical hero was Neil Young. And I have shared a stage with him, not long, not the whole show, just
Mention that. Yep.
a tune or two. And I've gotten to hold his guitar, the Black Beauty, the Blackie, I think he calls it, the old Les Paul. So I'm kind of over that. And then it was Brian Wilson for a while was my hero. And then it was Todd, and then it kind of stayed Todd. Todd is my last and final hero. And so I was so lucky to get the call to play with Brian Wilson, who, that band was a huge influence on me, the Beach Boys. Mm-hmm. Although the Monkees were an even bigger one. So, and I finally got to tour with them in 2019, which is another bucket list item.
So who was in the Monkees left at that point? Was it Mike and Mickey, I guess?
Exactly. Peter had just died. In fact, I got a Washington Post opinion piece published in February of 2019 about Peter Tork. But I was essentially taking Peter's place. I was on banjo, although Peter is way better banjo player than I am. I was on banjo, trumpet, and acoustic guitar, and I think a little melodica. So yeah, it was Mickey and Nazz, and then unfortunately, Nazz passed away. Although I was lucky enough to get invited to play at the last show before Nazz died, the last Monkey show. I was on stage at the Greek Theater in LA. That was very meaningful to me.
Well, they were definitely a favorite of mine when I was growing up. I was a Davy Jones fanatic, Yeah, talk about some good pop songs.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
They had the best, because Don Kirshner or whoever else at the record label was winnowing out all the chaff and just giving them the good ripe wheat. I'm a Believer. Come on, you can't beat that. Pleasant Valley Sunday. Jeez, give me a break.
So where do you stand on that? I mean, I don't know a ton about it, but I have read, some people that didn't really think the Monkees were musicians or weren't that good. They were getting fed all these songs and it was all for TV. Where do you stand on that?
Well, I was like Mel, I was in the target audience. I was 9 when that show came out, and it was perfect. I wanted to be how they lived, a big house with the rock and roll band in it. It looked so much fun and like something that anyone could do, which of course turned out not to be the case. So they had 2 actors in that band, which were Mickey and Davy, really. And then 2 actual musicians who had been out there making their living doing music, which were Peter Tork and Mike Nesmith. And first they, just towed the line and did the TV show that lasted 3 seasons? Maybe it was 2. And then it was over. But during that time, they had wanted to they were trying to buck against the authority of Don Kirshner. And they made Pisces, Capricorn, etc. I think that was the first one that they were all on. And they were good. Even Mickey taught himself to play drums, they were good. And then they kept on being good. The Porpoise song, the whole Head movie, very psychedelic. And even though they had some defections at the end, they didn't make it as a quartet till Peter and Nazz took off. So for a while, it was just Davy and Mickey holding down the fort. But they proved it. They proved that they could do it. People complained and said that they are it's not the Fab Four, but the Faux, F-A-U-X, the Faux Four. And they proved them wrong. They could actually play and sing, and a lot of their songs, including especially the ones of Mike Nesmith, turned out to be real good.
They were no Milli Vanilli.
No.
And there's talk about, I don't think they're not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, right?
I don't think so. And I personally think they ought to be. I mean, they brought so much pleasure to people's lives, and they really could play, and they really could write the songs.
So who was singing their songs? Was it Davy?
It was Davy and Mickey.
He did sing?
Well,
Mike sang.
Depends on what song. I mean, Papa Jean's Blues, that's Nesmith, because he wrote that.
Yeah.
I'm a Believer, that's Dolan's. I Want to Be Free, that's Davy. Pleasant Valley's, Daydream Believer, also Davy. So they traded around. I'm trying to think of if Peter was ever given a lead on a hit single.
Yes. It was kind of a trippy.
Shades of Grey? No.
Maybe it was that one. I don't know.
Anyway, I liked all their voices. It was perfect for me. They were my favorite band in the world over the Beatles.
Get out.
Really?
Yeah. For a couple of key years there, when age 9 and 10. And then I began to be more into the Byrds and the Beach Boys, and the Beatles started sneaking in. And then, of course, the Beatles kind of took over there for quite a while.
See if I can find out this Peter Tork song. Let's see.
I should know this. I should know which Peter song has a lead.
It's not your Auntie
Griselda.
Griselda.
That might be it. That's it. Yeah, 5th track on the record. The first Monkey song to feature him on lead vocals.
Nice.
Ta-da.
Thanks.
Was that the one you were thinking of, Cruiser Mouth?
Maybe. I don't know.
It doesn't matter. It's all music. It's all good. It's all good for the soul.
Yeah. Carol D'Amico says it's a song called Pete's Sake. So I don't know. Anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever?
This generation. That used to be a song they'd play over the opening credits.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was the closing credits.
That was Mickey, though, I think.
Was
I
it?
don't know.
Maybe you're right. Maybe that was Mickey.
Have you ever participated in one of these rock and roll fantasy camps? You know, where bands pay to play.
The Brian band got asked a couple of times, and we did that. We weren't the coaches. I one time I did get invited to be a coach, but it wasn't going to work with my schedule, so I wasn't able to do it. But yeah, we did a couple of we did one in Las Vegas. I'm trying to remember the name of the guy. Kirchhoff? No, I'm trying to remember the guy who used to run that thing. They may still do them for all I know, but they would do them in Hollywood near where I used to live at a place called SIR, Studio Instrument Rentals. And Brian came in, we would play a little set and then answer questions. And I don't think anyone actually got to play with Brian, but I got to sit in with some people, the Mark Hudson of the Hudson Brothers. Who's the drummer for Free? Simon. I'm sorry?
Kirk?
It might be. Yeah, it might be Simon Kirk. So I got to play the All Right Now. I got to play the solo on because no one else knew it. And you got to the guitar solo. It's like looking around. I'm like, I got it.
I mean, that's fun seeing people meeting their idols, and
oh sure,
you know, first they're probably all nervous, and then by the end of the day or the weekend or whatever it is, they're, oh, he's my pal now. Todd's my pal. You know, Todd did one of those. 15 years ago? A long time ago now.
In a minute.
Yeah. And I had the pleasure of getting to go as an observer. I'm no musician, but it was fun watching the nerves that everybody had that first day. And I think
sure.
we did it for like 3 or 4 days.
When I first met Todd, I met Todd at a record signing, and it was a utopia. Whatever was the album that just come out, Oblivion or something. I don't remember. And I brought solo albums. There was, I had Cosmic Furnace by Roger. I had Kaz's first solo album. I don't think Willie had an album at that time, but I brought my copy of Ballad for Todd to sign. And I was very nervous, so nervous that when I got up to him, and I had bought Todd a little gift certificate for an ice, because I'd read an article in the paper where he'd said he wasn't getting enough time to himself. So at that time, I was into these flotation tanks, isolation tanks. I mean, maybe most people know that from there was a movie that was done.
Altered States.
Yes, Altered States.
I loved it.
That took it to an unbelievable, like going out time, traveling through time. It's like, no. But anyway, so I sort of nervously gave this certificate to Todd when I was getting him to sign my album. And I said, you've been really important to me. I don't think I'd be here in this town doing music if it wasn't for you. And he looked at me and he was like, I think he actually told the security people, you better check this guy. And then after the fact, I found out about the whole Woodstock robbery and John David Chapman with his little shrine to Todd. And his, all these things that make nervous fans seem like a possible danger. So it made total sense.
I think Todd hears that kind of stuff a lot.
Yeah.
I know he does. But
I wonder if he used the gift certificate.
Yeah.
I don't know if he even took it. I know that I exited the place practically in tears. I was so devastated that it hadn't gone, according to plan.
Never does. Never does. Macaroni says that y'all did maybe did Couldn't I Just Tell You, the Wondermints, and that you definitely did Open My Eyes. Is that
Oh yeah,
right?
we did both those. Yep.
Yeah.
We sure did. That was fun. Those were great songs with excellent guitar parts in them.
Mm-hmm. So you just played it true to the original, pretty much.
Yeah.
Originals, yeah.
Much as we could.
Yeah. Who would sing them?
Oh, I don't remember. It was probably Darian. They were both with the Wondermints. I mean, I feel like I played Open My Eyes with some other band. I mean, it wasn't just the Stewkey and Todd Nazz thing. Oh, I can't remember. But in the power pop circle, so there used to be this thing in the 90s here in Los Angeles that I was part of called the pop scene, or that's what people called it. There was a bunch of loosely similar sounding bands that would go and support each other. So the clubs are always crammed with people because you knew that the same people were going to turn around and see your band the next night at some other club across town. Couldn't I Just Tell You was held in the highest esteem. I think there were some people that they used to argue about, okay, which is the power pop anthem? Which is it Couldn't I Just Tell You, or is it Go All the Way by the Raspberries?
Ooh, good one too.
I don't know. Though to me, it's kind of a toss-up. Although
Yeah.
I almost give points to Todd because the you know how in Couldn't I Just Tell You the tempo sort of slows and speeds up a little bit just because it's Todd and drums are not his first instrument. He plays them great, but it's sort of, and I always loved that the tempo was sort of loosey-goosey on What Couldn't I Just Tell You.
Loosey-goosey. So is it loosey-goosey when y'all covered it, or did you kind of change that up a little bit? The drum, you think? Probably kept it the original.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Well, people still love that song. The Lemon Twigs,
Oh yeah,
young guys, and they
love them.
played that one of the first times I ever saw them on video. I mean, I've never seen them in person, but
You
so
should.
that's
They are good. They're very good live.
I hear that. I hear that. So I'll make a point of it next time. But it's good to know that the kids these days are appreciating the music of their elders.
Yes.
They do sound a lot like that. I mean, they get it from their dad, but I did get to see them once in Atlanta. It was a really good show. And it is a throwback,
Yeah.
It's like,
It is a throwback. Some people think it's slavishly retro, but I don't really see it that way. To me, music is music, and I'm not even in any position to judge what other people find good. Like when I was a kid and I first heard Barry Manilow, I was like, ugh, this is saccharine, puke. But you know what? If that makes someone's day to hear I Write the Songs or Copacabana, who am I to say that there's anything wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. If you can derive joy from music and you're not hurting anyone, then do it.
did you ever acquire a taste for Barry Manilow, or is it still?
Grudgingly. He's an excellent musician. I know that he does his own string charts, or if he's not doing them now, he used to do them. And the brother of a friend of mine used to be his musical director until unfortunately he passed away. But I have an appreciation for the quality there. Same thing with Elvis. When I was younger, I thought Elvis Presley was the music of a previous generation, and I looked down on it. I thought it was stupid and hokey. But even some younger people these days are really into Elvis. And again, there's nothing, I have no right to say anything about someone's taste in music.
You been to Graceland?
I have been to Graceland.
Yeah.
It's awesome. That's a true retro throwback, especially the Jungle Room. But
right. I was more impressed with Sun Studios.
Yeah.
In Memphis.
Oh yeah, of course.
This little box. I mean, they haven't changed it much since the old days. And think of all the great hits that were made. And this thing looks very nondescript, but it was how you mic'd people and how people sang and how they played. It was magic.
Yeah, they sell a lot of T-shirts at Sun Records. I guarantee. It's something. So, what are some other these current, I would say, that are coming out with newer music these days that you like besides Lemon Twigs?
I don't really keep up on that many new bands. I should. Lemon Twigs are really the top of the heap as far as I'm concerned. Wow, you're putting me on the spot, and I'm
How did you find the Lemon
feeling
Twigs?
old.
Was it Facebook or how did you find out about the Lemon Twigs? Do you remember?
How was it? It might have been through Darian. Darian is actually personal friends with those guys. I mean, I'll get, I know him well enough to get backstage. And they did show, they made an appearance at Brian Wilson's birthday party this year. We had a big reunion of the band at which Brian did not perform, but it was at his house up in Beverly Hills. And I was amazed to see that one of the guests was the two brothers, Brian and Michael.
Wow. Yeah, they're big time.
Lemon Twigs. They got up on stage and played with us. They played some Beach Boys songs. It was great. Brian was into it.
Huh.
I bet they were into it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so too.
What a thrill.
And you know, their dad is a really good songwriter too, Ronnie Diodario. He didn't make as much of a mark in the 70s when he was putting out records, but he sometimes worked with his sons, or they'll work on some of his material. And yeah, Ronnie, it's great to be in a musical dynasty like that, where parents and children are both really into music.
Yeah, their dad is their biggest cheerleader too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We had him on our podcast years ago, and we had the Lemon Twigs too. But you could just tell we listened to his music. They're very influenced by him without a doubt in some of his music. So
yeah,
it is good when they get together and do stuff. And he raised them right.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. Now, is your 13-year-old going to be in music or economics?
Oh, wow. You did a little research to know that I used to be the editor at an economics place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did that for a long time. Well, I was just playing in bands trying to get signed for 20 years. It never happened. Anyway, my son likes to play piano. He'll pick out things off of video games or shows that he watches on his device. And he has a really good ear. But he's not that interested in theory. Like, he'll hit some weird chord and I'll go over and I'll say, hey, do you want me to describe I can tell you what that chord is, a minor 7 with a flat 5. And he's like, I don't care. Which it's okay. You know, he started out, he got a drum set when he was like 4, a little cheapo kid's drum set. He ruined it in about a week. It fell into pieces. So my old college roommate and I went in on a professional Yamaha kids set, which is currently in pieces in the closet. And then he said that a couple of years later, he said, oh, maybe I might want to play electric guitar. So I had a connection to get a 3/4, like a child's size Stratocaster, like the one Todd plays, except it's not seafoam green. It's not foaming.
Yeah.
Anyway, that remains untouched. But he will go to the piano, and my piano needs a little work. I can tune it to a certain amount of reasonableness, but I think something fell in there. It needs to be extracted. Some of the keys just don't sound that bright. It feels like the pencil eraser got to.
Yeah, and does he take lessons or from you or somebody, or does he just get up there and play?
All by ear. And again, he doesn't like scales. He doesn't want. I tried to get him to do bump, 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 whatever. What's ever the name of that kids thing that every child used to be able to play? Fingers, chopsticks.
Yeah,
chopsticks. That's what it is. Yeah.
No interest in chopsticks. He doesn't want to do it.
Do you? I mean, you obviously read music. Can you write charts? You do all that stuff? Yeah,
I mean, I can, and when called on, I can. I mean, I am definitely not an A-list session guy. I have had put music in front of me and had to read it down cold, but I usually make mistakes, way more mistakes than the people around me. So I try to get the music ahead of time if I can. And I can read. I mean, I may have been an English major at college, but I took as many courses at the conservatory at Oberlin there as I possibly could. And I was later the camp director and the French horn player at a chamber music camp in New Hampshire for many years. So, I know legit music. I can do it. I've been in orchestras, but I much prefer just showing up someplace and someone says, here's the line. Da, 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 ba, da, da, ba, da, ba, da. I'm going, okay, great. What key are we in? E flat, great. For me, that's F. I got it. Ba, 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 da, ba, da, 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 ba, da. No problem. I can do that.
No problem. Easy peasy. So
Hopefully,
these orchestras,
no problem.
did y'all do Brian Wilson shows with the orchestras ever or anything like that? Have you ever
Yeah,
done one
we
of
did
those?
a couple of we did a Pet Sounds tour with orchestra. We've done an
Wow.
occasional one-off show where they've had the full 70 piece behind us. I mean, I think when we did the orchestra tours, we were generally using local pickup orchestras, and we just have them come in the afternoon, rehearse, do the show that night, and then we're only carrying our usual 10 to 12 guys, and we're not carrying tour buses filled with orchestra players.
Yeah. Hope not.
Not that I have anything against orchestra players.
Yeah. There's just a lot of them.
Yeah.
Usually. Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about Burt for a minute, because that's what this tour is going to be. What,
Sure.
how much, I mean, is that up there for you with Monkeys, Beatles, Todd kind of thing? Or is it something you're going to really have to focus on learning some new things? Or have you always been a big Burt fan like Todd?
It hasn't been anywhere near Todd. I mean, I was a goner with Todd. But Burt I have loved his music for a long time. I mean, enough so that I sort of, I needed to know who was writing these songs for Dionne Warwick. And then I found out it was Hal David was the lyricist, and Burt Bacharach was doing the music. And then I found out that Bacharach had been the musical director of Marlene Dietrich, like going back to the 30s or 40s. I mean,
Yikes. Okay.
when Burt passed, he was 96, 98, something like that. He lasted a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So it never occurred to me that there would be a tribute to Burt. I just figured, well, he'll be around, and when he goes, he goes. It wasn't like he had he would occasionally do shows. It wasn't like he was just doing songs at home the way Brian Wilson kind of did when he had his breakdown in '65 and then just stayed home and wrote hits because he couldn't stand being on the road anymore. It wasn't like that. But then again, Burt, as you may know, Burt's voice was not, he himself didn't even like his own voice that much.
Mm-hmm.
He only made an album or two in which he was singing. Mostly he would be writing for other artists. And then he found his real muse in Dionne Warwick, who had a very pliable voice and was willing to do anything that Burt wanted, and was a star. So that was a marriage made in heaven. I feel very fortunate to have gotten the call from Rob. I mean, I remember when I first met Burt, it was at some charity show in LA. He was kind of short. He was shorter than I was expecting. So is Paul Simon, but that's another matter.
Yeah. Have you ever worked with Dionne Warwick?
No, I've never met
Burt. Did you ever meet him?
I met Burt twice. I met him at that charity show where he was doing a couple of songs with a small group. And I asked him, there was this song of his that I really like. But it has a chord in it that I couldn't quite figure out. And so I asked him about it. He didn't remember the song. I said, "Really? You wrote it?" And then I'm pretty sure I met him at the we were doing there was a Target did something called duets or something where they would have an artist do a famous song of their catalog, and in Brian Wilson's case it was God Only Knows, and then there would be the other artist would do a song from their catalog. It was Burt Bacharach. I forgot what song it was, but then they would do something where they wrote a song together or worked on a song together. So Brian and Burt did write a song together. Oh shoot, I'm trying to remember the name of it because I'm not even sure it came out on a record. You could buy it at Target. It was part of a duets series of, that didn't end up that well because I think Brian wanted to continue to work on the song, and Burt was essentially done and on to other things, and so they kind of came to loggerheads. I don't think they fought, but it didn't end on the best of terms, I think.
He sounds a lot like Todd. He wants to let's get it done. First
That
set,
may be
first take,
true.
we're done.
Well, I've seen him conduct orchestras, and he's very exacting. He knows what he wants, and he'll point at the player and said, little bit louder from you, and you're sharp. So fix that, please.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So,
We got a question in the chat room
mhm.
from Eddie Wenzel, who wants to know what you think of Painted from Memory with EC.
I love it.
Yeah.
Naturally, there's one song which I won't name. You can probably guess what it's going to be. That will be done. At least one song from that album will be done in this tour.
Ah.
Again, I can't name it, but
Yeah, please don't.
But that is a fantastic record. And a couple of years after that, I was once again doing a charity show someplace in New York. I can't remember. And Elvis Costello was on the bill. So we got to hang out in the dressing room with him. And I asked, is there anything left over from those sessions of that fantastic album that maybe will see the light of day? And he said, funny you should say that. Burt and I have it's been kicked around about maybe doing a second album with this kind of stuff. And we've started some exploratory ventures there. And that he wouldn't go any further than that. But I was overjoyed. Now, as we stand here in 2025, I don't think there has been anything released from Burt and Elvis that wasn't on that record. But yeah, that was wow. When I first heard that album, I was like, this is album of the year right away. I don't care if the Beatles reform and come back. This is album of the year.
Yeah. Huh. Did you watch that Beatles series where they all the tapes of them recording together and all that, the recent thing that came out? Did you get to see all that?
Get Back?
Yeah.
Yes, I did see that one. I although I feel like I saw at least 3 or 6 hours of it. It may be that there's 9 hours of total film. I think I didn't see the last bit of it. But hasn't there been another Beatles thing since then?
It's amazing how they find some of this stuff.
I know. It's incredible.
Some recordings, a lot of bands, they'll find something 30, 40 years later they forgot about it, didn't put on an album or whatever. It's good for music fans.
Right. Although as often happens, usually the stuff that's really good was people recognized it was good, the producer or the record company, and they put it out and it either sank or swam. And then when you go and look at the other stuff, I won't say it's the dregs, but it pales in comparison.
Yeah.
With there was a reason. Like, didn't Todd say they put the hit right up front? I Saw the Light. Track number 1. We're just gonna put a hit right out there.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking of the song "Little Green Bag" by the George Baker Selection, which was I don't remember, it was in Reservoir Dogs. It was in some Tarantino film, and it's this really cool song with the beat gets turned around in the middle. I can never really find where one is. And so when I went to Holland for the first time with the Eels, touring with them, I went into a record shop where the guy was speaking English, and I said, "Hey, I'm looking for anything you have by the George Baker Selection." And he said, "Oh, you mean Little Green Bag?" And I said, yeah, like that. And he said, "No, the rest is like housewife rock. You're not going to like it. Here, I'll give you a stack. You can go to the turntable in the corner with the headphones and you see what I mean." I went, I dropped the needle. He was right. The rest of the stuff, they had not been produced to the same level, and it didn't have that joie de vivre or je ne sais quoi, whatever your French phrase is. And I think that's, sometimes I've done this on YouTube to some band. I'll get into a deep dive on some psychedelic band from the 60s, and I'll listen to one song. I was like, not bad. Listen to the next 6 songs.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Anyway, that's all a tangent. I hope I answered the question of the person.
Absolutely. So somebody says there's a great cover of Little Green Bag by Bare Naked Ladies with Tom Jones. That's what Macaroni says.
I am going to look that up. Thank you for that.
There you go. New news. So when do y'all start rehearsals for this Burt tour?
I'm not sure. We're getting emails from the MD of the final set list and the vocal assignments, and hopefully, I know it's like a week or so before we go out. We have for sure full band rehearsals, and there's likely to be either sectionals or maybe just the background vocalists are maybe going to meet. Some of it's still to be determined. So I can't really answer that question.
Yeah. Well, it might be kind of fun after we've had several of y'all on to maybe get everybody together on one show. Mel and I just get out, y'all meet each other, hang around and talk, and let the rest of us listen. That's what we'll try to do maybe at some point.
Maybe.
You got a very eclectic group.
Well, now you two, Mel and Doug, you must sing in the shower, right?
Yes.
Guilty.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But isn't it fun? I mean, isn't it
Sure.
when you think no one's listening and it doesn't matter? Isn't it fun to sing in the car or the shower or something?
Oh, the car. Yeah, that's where I do my best work.
Nice.
The acoustics are perfect.
Yeah. I've started a playlist actually. When I wake up, typically I'll sing a song for, I don't know why, just a certain song will come to my head. So I started keeping up with them when I can remember, and I'm making a playlist. And no matter what it is, whether I like it, don't like it, whatever genre, it's gonna be my playlist. Wake up songs that I wake up with. So, yeah, singing's fun, but even though we don't do it well. I do mean Michael McDonald, but I digress. All right, so we have taken up over an hour of your time.
Oh boy, I
very
hope
generous.
I didn't ruin your schedule. I know you don't. You usually keep it to about an hour?
No, we've gone.
No.
No. We
We're all
go
over
as
the
long
place.
as anybody wants to go. It's all good, no problem.
Yeah,
it just
I tell you,
depends on what's going on.
we are so looking forward to this tour. I can't wait. I'm excited. So far, I know I'm going to be seeing 2 shows, so I may have to add some more. But anyway,
Nice.
we'll be seeing you for sure in Akron, Ohio, because
Right.
Right.
Now,
We're the
we're playing the
promoters
same
on
day
that
as Freak Parade, right?
You're gonna be at
the
the
next
Ryman.
day.
Oh, the
Yeah.
next day. Yeah, I'm afraid I may not be in town. I would love to see J-Po and I go back a little. I would love to see the band. I don't know if it's going to be possible. We may not be physically.
Y'all be
in
at the
the
Ryman
area.
that night. Yeah, you'll be at the Ryman. It was supposed to be an open night. It's a long story, but Ryman kept, being difficult, I think, in picking a date. And then they end up picking that one, of course. Just our luck, because it would have been fun to have y'all there as usual.
Yeah.
But we'll be partying after the concert if y'all are sticking around in Akron. I don't know if you get on the bus or not, but we like to stay up.
Great.
Yeah, we had Scroat and all the folks when we did the Bowie thing come party with us for a while
Oh, great.
at the hotel. Yeah, it was a good time, and it was fun. Anyway, so maybe we can get together and do that. If not, we might try to do Freak Parade somewhere else too.
Yeah.
I've actually been working on trying to maybe do it in Boston. I'm
Mm.
having trouble finding a venue, but that would be a free night for y'all. That might be kind of fun.
Nice. Yeah, I'm from New Hampshire myself, so I used to know Boston in the 70s and 80s, but that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
So I don't know any of the current venues.
How do you know J-Po? Where's that come from?
I have a friend, Tony Gaddis. He was in a band called Papas Fritas, even though it's spelled Papas Fritas, which really means sort of French fries. It also is POP, Pop has freed us. So they used to come through in the 90s. I'd share bills with them in LA. And it turned out that I got to know that Tony was a giant Beach Boys fan.
Mm-hmm.
So we started hanging out. And even so, he and his wife are in Gloucester now. They have a place called The Cut, which is a venue that just opened not so long ago. He has a recording studio in there too. Anyway, Tony and I go, back to the 90s, and he introduced me. I think J-Po wanted I can't remember if I played trumpet on something, just some background vocals on one of his records. He had a group called the Rudds, Rudds.
Mm-hmm.
So I was on that, and then we just stayed in touch. And he's as much of a Todd fan as I am. He may be worse.
Yeah, probably so. He's faux Todd. What?
Right, Todd, right?
Yeah, and Todd fan extraordinaire Jill Mingo.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
I know Jill quite well. I hope she's going to make it over. I know it's sometimes it's tough for her to get away from Glasgow there.
I cannot
She's gonna
imagine her missing this show.
she's front row pit for Akron, Ohio.
Great.
So she'll be pretty
She's
close. You got to watch her
huge.
hair. She'll be doing this. You gotta watch that.
Now you must know that Jill has not only a tattoo of Todd, but a tattoo of Burt Bacharach.
That's right. this has got to be the best thing ever for her.
Yeah.
She will probably hit a lot of
Wilson
shows.
too. She might be Brian. It might be another tattoo. I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't know, but she probably does. Who knows? But yeah, that's we've always known her to be a big Burt fan, and she had tried to get him and Todd together, I think, and it just never happened. You know, almost.
Oh
did.
yes, I heard the story about that. About how well, I won't go into it because I don't want to tell tales out of school, and you probably know it better than I do.
Yeah, well, Burt showed up for a concert hoping to hear "Hello, It's Me," and I think it was one of Todd's EDM shows, one of those really out there. So Bacharach was probably going, "What in the heck?" But,
yeah.
So he didn't get to hear "Hello, It's Me." I
bad.
think Todd would have played it had he known.
I'm sure he would have.
Yeah, he doesn't take requests very often, that's for sure, but he probably would from Burt.
He would have taken one from Burt. I'm confident on that. I think he's pretty much said that too. But anyway. All right, man. Well, stay safe out there in California. We look forward to seeing you in Akron, Ohio, and everywhere else. Everybody's looking forward to this tour. Good luck.
Sounds good. And thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, we
Come
enjoyed
back
it.
anytime.
Anytime. All right. We're going to close out with a little bit of our Freak Parade. I don't know if you've seen our video or not. But let's play.
I have.
Okay, yeah.
Very
It's
nice.
kinda long.
You get around. Gosh.
Yeah. We wanted to drag it out when we introduced the band for the first time, so I made a really long video. But it's fun. So
Yeah,
anyway,
it's like 5
all right.
minutes, isn't it?
What's that? Yeah, it's about 5 minutes. It sure is. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. WhatTheWorldNeedsNow.net, folks. Come see the shows. Peace out.
Sounds
Join us for the Rundgren Radio Party on March 31st. Get ready for an unforgettable night as we celebrate the genius of Todd Rundgren's music with an incredible band of legends coming together for one special event. The Rundgren Radio Party in Akron. Let's introduce you to the new band, Freak Parade. First up, holding down the keys is the incomparable Lloyd Landesman, keyboardist for Chasm Sultan's Utopia. Lloyd's keyboard work will add flair to this all-star ensemble, and his virtuosity will take this night to a whole new level. Bringing the rock and roll edge, John Pohida of Hermits of Mink Halloween, a true master of melody and Todd dance moves. With his unique flair, John Pohida's contributions will electrify the night and keep you on your toes. On guitar, Bruce McDaniel, Todd Rundgren's current touring guitarist. With a blend of passion and precision, Bruce McDaniel knows just how to electrify a crowd with his 6-string sorcery, and he's ready to bring that magic to Akron. Next, on drums, a powerhouse from Utopia's classic lineup, Kevin Elman. Elman performed at the Akron Civic with Todd Rundgren's Utopia in 2011 as part of Rundgren Radio's now legendary Icron event. Later in 2015, Elman performed in the same venue with Todd Rundgren and the Akron Symphony Orchestra. Kevin Elman's beats and rhythms are the heart of the band's dynamic sound, and you won't want to miss his impeccable energy as he brings it all to the party.
Don't you forget!
And And finally, the bass player whose unmistakable groove shaped the sound of Todd Rundgren's Utopia, the one, the only, John Siegler. John's impressive body of work on stage and on the record traverses pop, rock, funk, fusion, jazz, and rhythm and blues. A prolific studio ace, sideman, and composer, John Siegler has waxed sides with all of these artists and more. Siegler performed at the Akron Civic Theater with Todd Rundgren's Utopia in 2011 as part of Rundgren Radio's now legendary Icon event. Known for his electrifying stage presence and a deep musicality, John Siegler brings the foundation of Utopia's sound to life. Get ready to feel the rhythm. This is an amazing lineup. Don't miss your chance to experience the magic of Todd Rundgren's musical legacy live in Akron, Ohio on March 31st, 2025. Get your tickets now and join us for a night you'll never forget. Freak Parade with Lloyd Landisman, John Pohida, Bruce McDaniel, Kevin Elman, and John Siegler. It's the Rundgren Radio Party in Akron, Ohio, March 31st, 2025. Tickets are available now at rundgrenradio.tix.com.